Good morning. Namaste. This is Dr. Uma Kedvetal, Department of Food Biotechnology, Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Sciences, Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. I will be taking the course on Metabolism and Bioenergetics Lab this semester. So, in the previous session, we have learned about what is the principle and how to operate a spectrophotometer. So in that session, I had told you that this will be very important in terms of all the experiments that will be done in this semester. So this session deals with Nelson's Homogy method. And Nelson's Homogy method is a method for determining reducing sugars. So, yeah. So what is a reducing sugar? Like I've told you that Nelson's Homogy method is a method for determining the quantity of reducing sugars in a solution. So, you would have learned what monosaccharides, disaccharides, and oligosaccharides and polysaccharides are in your theory course for this, the theory session of the same course. So saccharide means sugar, and mono is for one, bi is disaccharides, di is for two, oligo is for a few, and poly is for many. So they are like one sugar unit, two sugar units, a few sugar units will be oligosaccharides, and many sugar units that are linked to each other and forming a chain will be monosaccharide, disaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. So monosaccharide is and they are all carbohydrates basically. So monosaccharide is a monomer of a carbohydrate. In monosaccharide, all of the carbon atoms except one will have a hydroxyl group attached, and monosaccharides can be either aldose or ketose based on the presence of a carbonyl group. So there will be a carbonyl group present in that, and depending on whether it's coming at the first carbon, that will be an aldose, and if it's coming at the second carbon, that will be a ketose. So sugars that have aldehyde group is called aldose or aldo sugar, while sugars with keto group is called ketose or keto sugar. So glucose is a hexose sugar, and from the aldose group, it has got a formula of C6H12O6. Now, I have told you what aldose and keto sugars are. Now, what are reducing sugars? So, reducing sugars are sugars that contain this aldehyde or ketone group. So, all monosaccharides are reducing sugars. But when you are having a disaccharide, there will be a linkage between these two. And so, all disaccharides need not be reducing sugars. But there are a few disaccharides which are reducing sugars, but when reducing sugar, but not all are. So when reducing sugars react with each other substances, it will go through a process of oxidation and reduction. So oxidation is the process where it gains loses electrons, and reduction is the process where it gains electrons. This is basic chemistry. So in the reaction, if it's producing a reduced substance plus the oxidized sugar molecule, and that reduced molecule is what will give you the color. So carboxylic acid groups will produce from the oxidation of the aldehyde group, and ketoses are actually weak reducing sugars, but under alkaline conditions, because they will partially isomerize. And Nelson's Homogees method is one of the classical and widely used method used to determine the amount of reducing sugars. In here, what is done is, the basic principle is, there will be cupric ions that is being reduced to cuprous ions or Cu plus ions by reducing sugar. So there is also another chemical, the arsenomolybdate complex, that is prepared by reacting ammonium molybdate and sodium arsenate. So that will be your reagent preparation part. And this is prepared in sulfuric acid. And then this will reduced by the Cu plus ions, which will give a intense stable blue color that is produced, and then it can be measured spectrophotometrically with an absorbance value at about 500 nanometers. So this has got an absorption maxima in the green spectrum. Rather than, since it's blue in color, it will not have an absorption spectra in the blue spectrum, but this has got an absorbance maximum in the green spectrum at 500 nanometers. So a standard curve of glucose concentration with its absorbance value will need to be constructed, as I had shown you in the previous experiment. So, and then depending on that, this the value of the sugar concentration in an unknown solution can be determined. So if I were to go into the principle of this one, as it was already told, the reducing sugars when heated with alkaline copper tartrate reduce the copper from cupric to cuprous state. That will be from Cu2 plus to Cu plus state. And this cuprous oxide, when it is treated with the arsenomolybdate that was formed in our reagent, then it will reduce the molybdic acid to molybdenum blue, and it is a blue color. So this blue color developed is compared with a set of standards in a colorimeter at yeah, my apologies, it's 620 nanometers, not 500 nanometers. So again, it's in the yellow spectrum since this is a blue colored compound. So if we were to look into the materials that are required, I'll share the screen so that you can have an idea about what all are the materials that you need to use. This is given in your e-notes and e-manual, so kindly go through it when looking at the experiment procedure. So the first requirement is alkaline copper tartrate. So for this, you will be dissolving 2.54 grams of anhydrous sodium carbonate, 2 grams sodium bicarbonate, and these are all alkaline substances. Then you will be adding potassium tartrate and sodium sulfate in 80 ml water and make it up to 100 ml water. Why this making up of a solution? Like if you are taking 100 ml of water and then you are adding salt to it, the volume increases. And so the required molarity of the substance is not maintained, because say if you take 100 ml of water and then you are adding all this salt, like you are adding 20 grams of a salt, the anhydrous sodium sulfate is there for like 20 grams, and even the rest of them like 2.54 grams, 2 grams, 2.5 grams. So finally you are actually having about 27, 28 grams of chemicals into your water. Then the volume is definitely bound to increase. And molarity is determined by the number of moles of a substance that is present per liter of your solution. It is not like in 100 ml of water, how much is there? In 100 ml of solution, how much is there? So when you are adding all these salts, 200 ml, and then you are making the solution, what happens is the volume will increase, and so the required molarity will not be maintained. So one of the essential features of solution preparation will be you will always be making up the volume to a final required volume. So once that will be your solution A, and then the solution B will be your copper sulfate, so 15 grams of copper sulfate, and then it will be made acidic using concentrated sulfuric acid. And then it will be made up to 100 ml. And then with this, mix 4 ml of B and 96 ml of solution A before use. This needs to be a freshly prepared solution. Like solution A, solution B, you can prepare and keep. It will have some amount of shelf life because they are only salt solutions. But however, these solutions, when you are going to mix it, then what is going to happen is the reactions will take place between these, and this needs to be done freshly if you are to get accurate solutions, accurate results, because you will be measuring a redox reaction in which the arsenomolybdate is going to get reduced. So for the arsenomolybdate reagent, the third part, that you have to dissolve 2.5 gram of ammonium molybdate in 45 ml water, and then add some sulfuric acid, then add some disodium hydrogen arsenate dissolved in 25 ml, and then mix well. And this has to be incubated at 37 degrees Celsius for 1 or 2 days. So these are in order to ensure optimum solubility and the optimum conditions for the reagent preparation. So once your reagents have been prepared, then you will need your reactant solution. So that is standard glucose solution, because you will be actually, I've told you earlier in the principal part that glucose is a reducing sugar. It's an aldose sugar and it's a reducing sugar. So once you have like glucose of varying concentration, so what you will be doing is you will have a standard glucose solution of 100 milligrams in 100 ml distilled water, and from that you will take a working standard of 10 ml in 100 ml. So you will be diluting it 10 ml to get in 10 times to get a working solution of 10 milligram in 100 ml. So what is the procedure for Neilson-Somogyi method? Over here, again, you will be taking, like I told in the previous session, you will be actually taking the glucose of different concentrations. Now you have a working stock of 10 milligram per ml. And then you will again be diluting it like 1 ml to 1 ml plus 9 ml, 2 ml plus 8 ml of water, 3 ml plus 7 ml of water, 4 ml of your working stock plus 6 ml of water. So you will be getting 1 mg per ml, 2 mg per ml, 3 mg per ml, 4 mg per ml, 5 mg. Like that, you will be getting 10 solutions. And once you have these 10 solutions, then you will be having your glucose concentration. So it is 1 mg per ml, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And initially there will be a 0, which will be only water. So you will have water and you will have glucose working solution. And once you have, so you will be adding 10 ml and 1 ml, 0 ml. And then next one will be 9 ml, 1 ml, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you will have a table like this. Now you have your glucose of varying concentrations, and to this you will be adding your reagents. And once you have added your reagents, color will develop immediately. And once the color has developed, the once you have added this one, the color will not develop immediately. And so you will be keeping it in a boiling water bath for 10 minutes. Once that is done, like, so let's say you have added your copper tartrate, and once you have done that, then you will be adding 1 ml of alkaline copper tartrate reagent that you have prepared. And once you have boiled it for 10 minutes, then cool the tubes and add 1 ml of arsenomolybdate reagent. So you have your arsenomolybdate reagent, and once that is done, you like, once it has cooled down, then and only then you need to add your arsenomolybdate reagent. And once your arsenomolybdate reagent has been added, then color will develop immediately, and that will be a stable color that is formed. So this stable color, you will be again pipetting out like 1 ml of your solution, and to that you will be adding that your cuvette in the same order as this solution was prepared, as I was showing you. So you will have this 0 to 10 mg per ml of glucose, and with that, for each of these, you would have added the necessary volume of reagents to it, and then boiled it in water bath for 10 minutes, and then cooled it down to room temperature back again, and then added your arsenomolybdate solution to it. And once all this is done, you will finally have your blue colored solution. You will again pipette out 1 ml from that in the same order, like first it will be blank, then 1 mg per ml, and you will get the absorbance values for each of them in triplicate. And once that is done, you will plot your standard curve. Now, if I have given you a glucose solution of an unknown concentration, then you will have to determine, do the same steps for that as well. Find out the absorbance of that at last. And with that, you will be plotting a standard curve. And from that, with your unknown the absorbance value of your unknown concentration, you will be determining what is the concentration of the glucose solution that was given in the unknown. So that will be the sum total of your experiment. Thank you. Have a good day.